Namaste, beautiful souls. It's Dr. Danny, physician astrologer. Welcome back to my channel. We are triple casting today to YouTube, Rumble, and the Fellowship of 13 Signs. If you guys are not part of the Fellowship of 13 Signs and you want to be, the link is below. Hello, Lori. Thanks for coming. I didn't announce this to anyone today. I totally forgot to do that. I had it all set up last night and then I took a nap when I got home from work. So here we are. Today we're going to talk about Venus through Sagittarius. This is such a wonderful, amazing energy, you guys. If you are someone who is tapped into your creative flow, if you're someone who creates through the energy of flow, is very tapped into that, or if you want to be, then this is going to feel like a really, really good transit for you. So Venus forecast, why do I do these? Well, I'm going to explain that to you. I'm going to hopefully get it to where you guys understand why I put these videos out and why you should also consciously follow Venus, track it in your chart, and track how it aspects back to your natal Venus and your natal planets, okay? Because Venus is a quicker moving planet, but her cycle is a lot slower than the moon or Mercury. So we get in about a 584 day or 20-month cycle that is associated with the movements of Venus. So when we watch Venus, when we consciously work with that energy, work with its ebbs and flows, work with the energy of the stars that are coming through, like which constellation is Venus transiting through, all that can be very helpful for your own creative processes. I realized that Venus was impacting my creative flow probably about 4 years ago. And when I started watching the cycles of Venus, I noticed that in my own creative process that it was associated with where she was in the cycle. So I decided I'm going to dive deep into this. And I did. I did a cycle with just my own personal journaling. And then I started publishing my findings and the forecasts on YouTube about 2 years ago. So we have been through one complete cycle on YouTube, and now we are about, let's see, it's June was the beginning of this one. We go July, August, September, October. We are 5 months in to the current 20-month Venus cycle. And there's an arc, there is a story, there is a beautiful transformational process that occurs. We evolve with Venus energy. We find that things are drawn to us, whatever vibration that we're in, creatively speaking. I have taught 2 Venus courses. One is the Venus Practicum, and the other one is the Advanced Venus Practicum. These 2 courses are about 5 hours of lecture and didactic and chart reading and exploring Venus energy through all the houses, through all the signs, in every single aspect to the other luminaries. I also offer a personalized Venus forecast. The link for that reading is below. Once you're done with this forecast, we're going to talk about how a personalized forecast is a little bit different, because the natal resonance of Venus energy that you have can depend on a lot of different things. Venus is not a malefic energy. She's very benefic. It's a very helpful, enjoyable, sensual, erotic, creative energy. And when you are working with it, and you know what your base Venus resonance, or your Venus power, I like to call it, when you know what that is for you, then what you do is you watch how Venus moves through the sky in transit in the dynamic aspects that we talked about a couple of weeks ago, and she will aspect your natal planets. And so when you know that resonance, when you know that, hey, I'm getting a Venus square Chiron coming up, whenever Venus is in Gemini, then you know that there's some healing, there's some wounds coming up. Okay. All right. Cool. So Lori loves Venus. Yeah, me too. Fellow travelers here. Hello. Thanks for coming. Yeah, Lori, you were in both my Venus classes. Those are so good. So yeah, so with the readings that I've been doing for 2 years, the deep study, the deep personal reconciliation of this energy with my own creative flow has been literally life altering. Okay. It's sort of what got me into the space where I am right now, where I'm teaching you guys this astrology, but also how to work with astrology, to take the complexity out of it. You don't have to be the perfect astrologer where you have all the exact, aspects down to the degrees and everything like that. There's always going to be someone that knows more than you, and that can dive in just a little bit deeper and turn things around for you. So I wouldn't worry about you know, not knowing enough to be able to do this for yourself. This is how you do it. Okay. So let me, I wanted to just talk to you guys real quick about Venus in Sagittarius, what that energy means. We're going to look at the current Venus cycle in a short that I did for you guys. And then we are going to look at the sky. Then we're going to look at Capricorn Prometheus. And then we are going to look at my specialized time map where I show you guys what the transiting planets, how they are interacting with Venus through her dynamic transit through Sagittarius. Okay, so this is very detailed, but we'll pause and we'll talk about what these energies mean. Because each time there's an aspect, there's a lesson, there's a blessing, there's a way that you can work with that energy. Okay. And then we'll also review how you look in your own chart. So for me, for example, Venus will be traveling through the stars of constellational Sagittarius, which is associated with my 8th house. Okay. So I'm going to have a Venus transit through the last half of my 7th house and the entirety of my 8th house. So what might that mean for me? Okay. Well, I look at everything that's aspecting my 8th house in my natal chart, and then I know that Venus is going to be, hitting those energies. All right. So we'll look at it for the collective. If y'all are interested in a Venus forecast for yourself, those are amazing. You'll get an hour-long recording. You get a follow-up call with me. You're basically in the loop. And then these particular videos may resonate with you more once you've gotten your own Venus readings done. All right, guys. So yeah, since I talked to you Tuesday, let's see what's been happening. I pretty much watched the election, so I'm so glad that's over because now we can think about something else. And then I stayed up late because I wanted to see what was going on. You know what I hate? I mean, whoever wins is fine as far as I'm concerned, as far as how I interact with the public. But what I don't like is when it drags on for months. That's the part that really frustrates me. I don't like that. So I'm glad we at least have a decision. And once we know something, then we can move forward and focus on things that are potentially more important in our own personal lives. So I did that. And then I slept a little bit. And then yesterday I worked 24 hours, got home this morning, took a little nap and got this presentation ready for you. So that's what I've done. And then this weekend, I'm probably going to do a Jeep chat tomorrow morning on the way to work. And then this weekend, I'm going to Houston for a birthday party. So yeah, I have been just in and out of the house, a different bed every night. It's crazy. It's crazy. All right, cool. You guys doing good? Everybody looks like they're happy. Everyone's happy to be here. Awesome. Good, good, good. Oh, let me follow up with you guys. For my cephalopod and storm talk, I wanted to show y'all the card that I pulled on Saturday night while I was at the domes, because this was the card that spawned the entire discussion. So this was it right here. And if you don't know what I'm talking about when I'm showing you this card, look at my last live. And it's basically a discussion about the spiritual and esoteric significance of octopuses and what sign of the zodiac they might be related to, and how all the synchronicities came together after I pulled this card, and just basically giving you guys the story about how my trip went. So I wanted to share that with you because I found that card. Miss Jackie gave that to me. Thank you so much for doing that, Jackie, if you're watching. Let's get into the sky. Let's do that. So actually, let's start with the solar system. Actually, no. You know what we're going to start with? We are going to start with the Venus cycle. I'm going to show you on a chart real quick. This is my short that I created. I do this every time Venus has a new cycle. And we're going to watch this while we chat. So this particular cycle that we are in right now, the Venus cycle started at a superior conjunction with the sun. If you guys don't know what that is, I will show you really quick. It's basically when you look at the sun from Earth's perspective, the planet Venus will be all the way on the other side over here. Okay, so that happened on June 4th of this past year. So that's where we're starting from on this particular video or this particular short. So we'll watch that real quick. It's really fast. It's about a minute. I'm going to turn my speakers. There we go. I put it to somewhere over the rainbow. So when you listen to it, we're right here. Oh, we just passed the Sagittarius area. But this is a long cycle. This is from June 4th of 24 to 1/6 of 26. So we have 15 more months to go. And you can see how Venus just traverses through. So go look at that. Go stare at that a couple of times because I think the charts are helpful. But when you can see a chart in motion like this, it's just very, very cool. And it gives you a sense of the ebbs and the flows of energies that are coming towards you when you are dealing with astrology. So this is right now in our solar system. Like I said, when Venus was over here on the other side of the sun, that was for superior conjunction with the sun. That was on June 4th. And in 5 months, we've moved to here. Now, I want to say January 9th and 10th. That's when Venus will reach what's called a maximum elongation. So if you were to measure the distance between Venus and the sun, this distance would get larger, is getting larger and larger and larger until January 9th and 10th of next year. That maximum elongation means that very shortly afterwards, Venus will enter a 40-day and 40-night retrograde period, which that whole symbolism of 40 is very biblical. And there's an almost like a death, rebirth, transformation energy that occurs when Venus goes retrograde. So we are anticipating that energy that's coming in March of this coming year. So stay with the Venus forecasts, follow with me because I'm telling you a story. It's a longer story. If you're doing really well with the lunar cycles and you're sort of getting the teachings that are coming with the lunar cycles, the Venus cycle is a much bigger one. Okay. So this is November 9th. This is this coming Saturday. This is when Venus will be conjunct the Galactic Center. This is the Milky Way. So you can see Venus right on the tail end of Ophiuchus in Scorpio, about to enter the stars of Sagittarius. The sun in Libra. Doesn't this feel so good? The sun in Libra, I feel like, is this just a higher perspective. Like we've gotten the judgments and now we can take a higher perspective, a more diplomatic perspective, you know, that kind of energy. So I'm really happy. I'm really feeling the sun in Libra right now. And I'm excited about Venus moving into Sagittarius because I'm going to get into this a little bit, but the energy of this galactic center is very powerful. This is where the veil is the thinnest. This is where we enter and exit the simulation, the realm, the hypersphere, wherever it is we are. To me, I sense that this is where it begins and ends. Okay. So my hero's journey actually starts here. We go clockwise and into Libra, but this is a pivot point. This is any energies that are going to transit through this space, not just Venus, but also Mercury and the sun and all the other planets, even the moon. But because this is a, once in a 584-day event, then this is a bit of a big deal. And you may feel this. Okay. So let's watch this. Let's watch Venus move through here through the days. It'll last, the Sagittarius transits through December 7th. So we're going to see Venus move through those stars. The sun will go into Scorpio right around here. Mars will also go direct. Mars and Mercury will both go retrograde during this cycle to the 7th of December. So that is when Venus will officially enter into Capricorn and completes this transit with a conjunction to Pluto. So there's a lot of really amazing, juicy rise of the Phoenix energy that we are going to get into. Let's see. I think that's everything I wanted to show y'all there. I wonder how I stop screen. There we go. All right. So let's see. Sound got funny for me. Uh-oh. I hope you can hear. Oh, yeah, you can hear now. Okay, good. All right. Lori's happy that the election's over. Yep, me too. All right. So good. So let's talk about Venus in Sagittarius. What is this energy? This is like the fire of the heart. Okay. So when you are in your creative bliss, the next new thing that sort of turns you on is that's what this Venus energy is about. So natally speaking, when we have Venus in a chart, we want to look at whether she's an evening star or a morning star, and the practicum classes that I teach show you how to do that. We are currently in an evening star phase. So we've got an evening star Venus that is on the upswing. She's on the swelling phase. She hasn't quite reached her maximum elongation yet. So this is a time of building, of exploring, of searching, of becoming inspired, of taking in new ideas, or even doing the creative manifestation to bring in what it is that you want. So all of this happens during the swelling. Like it's like a waxing moon, which is what we're in right now. So we go from new moon to full moon. This is a similar energy for Venus, but it lasts 10 months. So we go from that superior conjunction to the inferior conjunction from June of this past year to March of next year. So I always start out speaking about the planets as how they attain enlightenment, because I personally think that they are there in order to show us their version of enlightenment. All right. So Venus's version of enlightenment is to attain wisdom through the senses. Okay. If you take an apple and you give it to Mercury, he's going to have knowledge of the apple. He's going to know the name of it. He's going to label it, weigh it, measure it, examine it, price it out for you, all of the things that you would need to do to analyze the apple. But Venus doesn't need to know the name of the apple, because the wisdom comes from the sensation of it, the color, the smell, the crunch, the taste, the weight of the apple, how the apple makes her feel. Okay. So all of that is wisdom, because you can't sense those things unless you have a physical body. And what a special treat it is to be sparks of divinity that have a physical body that can sense all of the beauty of creation around us. So that's why I'm into it, because for me, when I think about transmitting the wisdom of a physical experience to the creator, that just makes me so like, wow, what an honor. The whole everything, even pain, but mostly pleasure. Venus is mostly about pleasure, but pain too. When you have pain, you don't necessarily have to suffer. That's a whole nother topic. But that feeling, that sensation is also transmitted back to the creator too. So there's this wisdom transfer through being a physical body and feeling and sensing and giving that back. So that's why we love Venus. And so now we're in Sagittarius, and we've got this just sort of wildfire energy. There's faith, there's optimism, there's abundance, there's the next new horizon, right? So the fiery heart of Venus energy is going to get stirred by new energies or the idea of a new thing. Okay. When we have a natal Venus in Sagittarius, sometimes these people leave a trail of broken hearts behind them because the next new thing is always exciting them. And whenever you get into sort of relationship energy, sometimes the routine or the expectations of the other person tend to make us feel trapped or confined. So the Venus in Sagittarius natally will often want to experiment and go towards the next new thing, because that's what turns that Venus on. That's where you get the creative juices flowing. That's where you're able to live in flow and in synchronicity. So you've got the Sagittarius Venus in the natal chart. So they tend to leave a trail of broken hearts unless this Venus in Sagittarius can find a partner that blows their mind daily, right? The person that they're always excited to hear from, always excited to learn from, always excited to go on the next adventure with. So usually you'll end up with either like a serial short-term monogamist, you'll have someone that is celibate, or you'll have someone that is attached to someone that blows their mind daily. Now, as we move through the stars of the philosopher, we often think of the citizens of the universe. They're unencumbered by attachments, and they seek to experience all there is and to find meaning out there. Knowledge and faith of a higher purpose that underlies all of creation and the cosmos. So a very optimistic energy that thrives on the knowledge that ties everything together. So I love this. So when Venus in Sagittarius is flowing with the full force of her power, unbridled and unblocked, she can only be faithful to her heart. Okay. So this can be definitely a very restless energy. Especially if there's confinement, especially if there's rules. And those that are, in love with this kind of energy, you just have to be ready to sort of blow their mind daily. Now, the thing about where Venus is right now, as she's moving across the Milky Way band and then over the Galactic Center, there is literally a phoenix rising from the ashes energy. This is what this is. So we may feel it more consciously as the sun moves through that space right around Christmas. We may feel that emotionally every month or so as the moon moves through that space. But your creative processes, the way that you flow, should get a spark of inspiration, a little light, a little kick in the pants here as Venus crosses over the galactic center. So how does that sound for everybody? I'm loving some Venus in Sagittarius. So we're going to see what her transit energy feels like as she makes aspects to the bigger planets. She's going to have a conjunction with Pluto. There's going to be some sextiles and some squares in there. So we're going to go through all of that week by week and feel like what we need to go through. All right, let's see how everybody's feeling with that. Fellow traveler says, I'm in awe with you, my friend. You are just brilliant. Oh, thank you. So sweet. That's so sweet of you to say that. I want you guys to come with me on this Venus journey. This is how you can really live in a more blissful state in line with what your true purpose is. Because ultimately you are going back to source. And so what experiences are you going to bring back with you? How are you going to say that you lived your life? And what if you were told this was your last go round? What kind of things would you try to experience? What would you be open to? What would your heart want you to experience? Okay. All right, guys, I am going to, Lori said somebody to pull the Phoenix card for you. Oh, that's awesome. That's synchronistic, right? Okay, let's do this. Let me pull up. I wanted to show you Prometheus real quick and show you what Venus looks like as she moves through on a chart just through this particular set of transits. And then we will dive into the calendar. All right, just wanted to get that set up. Okay. So let's go here and share entire screen. Okay. So here is the chart, the transit chart for Saturday, November 9th, as Venus begins her transit through Sagittarius. So we're just going to click through the days here. This will be from November 9th to December 7th. So Mercury's going to go retrograde, and then Mars will go retrograde as the sun enters Ophiuchus, and Venus ends this with her yearly conjunction to Pluto. So we're going to talk about all the lines that Venus in this column makes and what those energies might mean for our collective divine feminine energy. Okay. Let's go ahead and get the PowerPoint up. I wanted to show you this slide first. Hopefully you can see this and it's not too small. The point is not for you to see all the numbers, but the point I wanted to make is that Venus, for me, for the work that I do, is traveling through the constellation of Sagittarius. If you are someone who likes to follow tropical Western astrology, then Venus will be ending Sagittarius, moving through Capricorn and into Aquarius during these dates. So I just wanted to make that distinction. I don't know of anyone else really that is a Venus specialist that is in tropical. I guess I just don't resonate at that level. So the energies that I'm giving you is Venus from the Sagittarius standpoint. When we get into December and I do Venus through Capricorn, that's when Venus for us will be transiting through Capricorn. So I just wanted to make that distinction for you. And then I also wanted you guys to know where Venus was transiting, what house Venus was transiting in for you during this transit as well, because you can think about the area of your life when you know what house Venus is going through. So hopefully those of you that have not watched me before, you go to drdanny.com, free chart. You can put in today's chart or the beginning of this transit, and you can see all where everything is. You can do it daily if you need to, so you can watch the dynamic movements of the planets. You can also go in there and do your own chart. And so what I did in the beginning when I started studying, thank you for Athen Comenti for having his website, because he was my light in the dark for years until, I got the software myself and started practicing for real. So yeah, go here. That's powered by Mastering the Zodiac as well. So again, thanks Athen, and thanks for Mastering the Zodiac for that. So pull 2 charts. That's what I did for you guys. I pulled my chart and then I pulled 11-9. And I have little icons here, but you can print them or you can do this in PowerPoint if you're a PowerPoint wizard like me. If not, you can just print it and draw it on there. So Venus is what we're looking at. Venus will be entering into the stars of Sagittarius. So for my chart, she starts right here. Okay, so that's the end of the 7th house and into the 8th house. So my relationships, big time, because Venus rules the 7th house too. But these are also the stars of Jupiter. So I've got the stars of Jupiter at the end of my 7th house and in my 8th house. So this will be a transformative journey for me. As the phoenix rises for my own creative processes, it's also going to go through a profound transformation. That's what 8th house deals with. So all the esoteric, all the taboo, all the secrets that can come through, or there might be some creative processes that are done in secret for me for the time being until she's out of Sagittarius. Maybe once Venus gets into Capricorn for me, then my creative processes will become more public. Okay. There might be secret relationships too. With a Venus going through an 8th house energy. So for those of you that also have Sagittarius with 8th house. So this can be very different for you, the meaning of Venus through Sagittarius, depending on what house it is, right? So that's a very different energy when we're talking about Venus on your ascendant. So let's say you have Sagittarius in the 1st house. As Venus is transiting, you're going to have Venus over your ascendant, which is much more powerful than when Venus is transiting through the 7th and 8th house. Okay, because that's an identity energy, along with the creative energy of Venus. So I just wanted to remind y'all how to do that. So wherever in your natal chart, you can do that at drdanny.com/free chart. See where Sagittarius is, note the number on that ring. And then that's the area of your life where this next set of transits is going to affect you. All right, let's make sure you guys are good real quick. All right. Okay, let's see. All right, Lisa Ann Jet Lewis, looking forward to the trip. You going somewhere? Lisa of the Norman Peoples, you are so accurate about Venus and Sagittarius. That's where my Venus is. I need to have a man who blows my heart and mind. Yeah, you do. And that is okay. You can find them. They're out there, but it's really it's hard sometimes for Venus in Sagittarius because you just fall in love so fast, but then when that fire goes out, you're like, I need the next thing," and that's just how you are. So that's okay. All right. The African Wolf says, "Peace to the chat. Hello, thanks for coming." Lisa of the Norman Peoples has Venus in the sixth house, and Celtic Thistle has the third house. Yeah, so we're all going to experience this transit a little bit differently. So, what I want to do now is dive into the next several weeks, the next 4 weeks of Venus through Sagittarius and the dynamic aspects that she makes. And I think you guys will get a lot out of this. All right, get back into that. So here is the time map that I create for my Venus studies. This is literally what I have on my desk. I've got 2 years worth, 3 years worth of notes, and I present it to you and I give it to you guys so that you can also see. This is a little bit different for those of you using Capricorn Prometheus. If you were to run a transit map or a time map transit grid, you would see much smaller, much tighter lines. And the reason that they're longer on the calendars that I produce is because I use a larger orb when following Venus. We also use the same sized orb when we're using sun transits. So if you've got, if let's say Mars is trining onto the sun, then what you've got is a larger or sun trining onto Mars. You have about a 9-degree orb. So I've decided to use an 8-degree orb with my Venus transits. Eight's a special number for Venus. It's part of her cycles. I also teach a little bit of the numerology about Venus in the Venus practicum. So if you all really want to dive deep into this energy, I invite you. All right. So I'll just go through a quick overview and then we'll pick these apart. We'll tease these apart. Okay. So we're right here when I'm recording this on the 7th. And so we are right in the middle of the Venus squaring a retrograde Neptune. The sun just went into Libra. On Saturday, Venus will conjunct that galactic center, and that's the metamorphosis from the rebirth into the rising of the Phoenix. Then by Monday, we've got the square to Neptune ending. We have a little bit of a challenging aspect to Mars that will dominate most of next week. And then Venus will also be squaring the lunar nodes. Now, while that's happening, Venus is also going to sextile Black Moon Lilith, and Saturn's going to go direct. So we're going to feel quite an intense shift by the end of next week with our creative flow, with what it is we should be doing, and our destiny. The following week, we get a sextile to Saturn and a square to Black Moon Lilith. So whenever we have astrology, you'll always see an approaching sextile, the square, and then a separating sextile. So we have an approaching sextile next week with Black Moon Lilith, and then Venus will square onto Black Moon Lilith the week after that, while also squaring onto Chiron, while also sextiling Saturn, and the sun's going to enter into constellational Scorpio. So it'll be right at those critical degrees. So it's like there's of course the normal lunar cycle we're building in at the end of next week, but then the week after that, a whole new set of challenges are going to be presented to our creative energy. Mercury stations retrograde on the 25th. So Mercury's getting really intense, just like that larger cycle of Venus. Mercury has a 116-day cycle where there is a superior conjunction. We come around the sun, we go retrograde, then there's an inferior conjunction. That's when Mercury is the closest to Earth, and it is the most intense during Mercury retrograde. So we start on the 25th, and that inferior conjunction culminates on the 6th of December. So if you were with me on the last eclipse, the 2nd of October was the superior conjunction of Mercury, and that's when we asked, right? This is when it gets answered right here, December 6th. So we asked at the superior conjunction, and it's answered on the inferior conjunction. I go into more detail when we talk more about Mercury on other presentations, but just know that energy is available for us too during the Venus transits. Then we end this month with a trine to a retrograde Uranus and Venus conjunct Pluto. Okay. Then Mars will station retrograde, Neptune will station direct, and then on the 8th, Venus will move into Capricorn. Wow, this is a very busy month. Okay, so what do you say we break it down? All right, so right now, at this very moment on the 7th of November, we are working with Venus square to Neptune. So remember, a square energy is a tension. There is something that doesn't quite resonate. It's like playing two notes on a keyboard together that don't go together. Okay, so now we have this. Venus currently is in Ophiuchus, but will transition into Sagittarius while working with Neptune, while transiting the galactic center. So it's almost as if we're being sort of pulled towards the internal, everything that's possible, everything that's unknown, sort of the void of our creative space. By Saturday, that should start to reverse course, and we are feeling more expansive. What can happen here with a square to Neptune with Venus is you've got, the dreamy Pisces energy of Neptune and this sort of regeneration energy, rebirth energy of Venus. Is we might be fooled. We're in a very vulnerable space creatively. So we want to be careful over the next couple of days as this energy wanes off to not be influenced to use our creative energy on something that is an illusion. Okay. So Neptune is like the media. It can make us feel good or it can make us feel bad. And you really don't want to bring any of that with you through this space creatively of the Galactic Center. You really want to be able to completely let it go. And Neptune can help you do that because Neptune is about the spiritual, the mystical, the intuitive. So hopefully we're using that energy the right way. The next new energy that starts for us will be on Monday. And this is going to be a quincunx to Mars. So from the 11th to the 15th, most of next week, we're going to have sort of an unmet challenge between another sort of disresonance between the energy of Venus and the energy of Mars. And so while Mars attains enlightenment by enacting the will of the creator, we have to ask ourselves, who is the creator? Well, the creator is that Venus energy. That's what we're talking about here. This is the divine spark, experiencing sensation, transmitting that back to the creator. And Mars is there to do the bidding, to bring, to enable action. Now, Mars is in Cancer right now, right? Mars is just kind of hanging out, at least constellationally speaking. And when you have Mars in Cancer, it's more about protecting. It's more about nurturing. It's more about keeping people safe. It's about the safety of it. So we can get really restrictive. Remember what we said about Venus. She's this fiery heart in Sagittarius. And so now you've got the masculine, the energy, the action energy, wanting to sort of pull inward and to protect and to not let, the Venus energy do whatever it wants to do. So that's a tension there that can also create an opportunity to see the other side. So I think because Venus will be so brand new, straight like a little baby phoenix straight out of the galactic center, that it might be good to have this kind of Mars energy and to appreciate it. And so if there's someone there, some sort of energy that is trying to protect you, Venus Sagittarius, stop for a second and look at it from Mars's perspective. This is what you do in a quincunx. Those of you that are in that protective energy, that don't want to let the creative energy flow, that are trying to grasp and to hold on to things for protection's sake, it may be a good idea to allow some freedom and to allow some opening in the creative space. Okay, so that's essentially how we can work with a quincunx. We have the one energy sees it from the other energy's point of view, and that's where the challenge comes in. So now from the 11th all the way to the 20th, Venus is going to square on the lunar nodes. And the lunar nodes are in Pisces, the north node, and the south node is in Virgo. So actually, you know what? Since we have a square, I think it would be smart to show it to you. So we will move forward on this, because this is going to start on the 11th. So here is, oops, wrong month. On the 11th of November. I do this every day. I turn the wheel every day because I honestly feel like the movements of these planets speak so much more to us than just where they are in the sky. But you can see this movement through the square to the lunar nodes. So there it is. This usually speaks to our collective destiny, right? So that north node, the destiny is universal love and oneness, right? To reconnect with spirit, to integrate those collective wounds. That's what all these eclipses have been about, bringing up the ancient memories of our ancestral traumas and integrating them and releasing them and healing our generational lines. That's what this whole north node, south node polarity has been about for the last several years. So Venus is squaring that energy. She's saying, okay, how do I move? How do I move forward without fear? And how do I let go of the past? Okay. And so I think that's going to be some of the questions that we may be asking ourselves. Which way do we want to direct our creative energy? And if you know the house this is in for you, like this, for this particular chart, it's 10th house, there may be some creative career decisions. Okay. You put it in the second house, there may be some financial decisions. You put it in the 7th house, there might be some relationship decisions as it's squaring on the lunar nodes. And so we have the potential to sort of fall back into old patterns and old habits, but we also have the opportunity to step outside of our comfort zone, do something different, do something interesting, do something we never thought we would do before. So that's really good. I like to show the squares there. Okay, cool. So I've already talked about those three. The Venus square Neptune, Venus conjunct with the Galactic Center, and Sun entering Libra. Let's move into, we just talked about the nodes. Okay, so the next thing that is happening is Venus is going to sextile Black Moon Lilith. Now, Black Moon Lilith is not a planet. She's similar. She's an energy that reminds me of the wild, untamed, divine feminine, the void, Nyx, chaos, creation, birthing itself. It is a very suppressed energy. It's always called dark because it's so unknown and unfamiliar to us, but it's literally the galactic center type energy. It's literally where we can jump timelines. It's literally where we can recreate our life. It is creation. It's also destruction too. So when we look at the Liliths, they're like fractalized, shattered energy of the divine feminine that's suppressed. That comes from it. We're not blaming anybody here, but it comes from just generations of the divine feminine wounding. And as we move through this space where we're healing that through the nodal axis, we're finding that is bubbling up in people in very interesting ways. There's sudden awakenings, there's shocks to the system, so to speak. There's things coming through that people have no idea how to deal with or what to do. And I think it's attributed to this awareness of this energy. And Venus adds a sense of refinement to it. So it's like, how can I use this raw truth? How can I use this raw primal energy to be creative? There's an opportunity there, and there's a window to lean into that, especially when you're feeling the give and take with Mars and the tension between the destiny and the past. So that's all sort of the end of next week. The Black Moon Lilith energy is from the 13th to the 15th. So it's a couple of days. Friday the 15th is a big day. We've got Saturn stationing direct again, and then we've got a full moon in Taurus conjunct retrograde Uranus. Okay. And next week, we'll probably talk about this full moon because it deserves full attention. But I wanted to show you what that moon looked like. So let's move forward on this. So here it is on the 15th. So there's your full moon. And it's an interesting moon, guys, because the moon and the sun are both in signs that are traditionally associated with Venus energy, right? So the traditional rulers of Taurus and Libra are Venus. And you've got sun in Libra and moon in Taurus. Taurus moon is awesome. And this Libra sun is very, very what's the word? I just love the way this, it feels very open. It feels like a much higher perspective, like the wind's finally in our hair and we can see everything. And then, you have that full moon, so this energy's peaking and it's all about Uranus, right? It's all about that breaking free, that opening up, that stepping into that path of individuation, and showing the divinity that's inside of you, that unique divinity that we all have, that's individual for each and every one of us. So that's that full moon. We're definitely going to talk about that probably next week on the next live. So let's get into that. Let me just, what I should do? Let me check on you guys and see if everybody is doing okay. Hey guys, how we doing? All right. Thanks for putting that free chart up there, Lori. Mama Wolf Memories. Hi, so glad I caught you. Thanks for coming. So glad you're here. Venus energy's awesome. All right, let's see. Nicole Frazier has Sagittarius midheaven, hoping Pluto leaving 10th will be a more breezy public life. Should be. Lori is not watching the news anymore. Oh, she's not watching the news and taking pictures outside. Yeah, it's beautiful outside, you guys. I mean, if you sit outside on sunset and it's a cloudless night, right after sunset, you're going to see Venus and you might even be able to see Mercury if you have clear skies. And it's really, really beautiful. So the next couple of lunar cycles, whenever we have a waxing crescent moon right after the new moon, 2 or 3 days after, you're going to see Moon and Venus together in the western sky. It's really, really a beautiful sight. So, all right, let's get into some more of these transits. Hopefully, you guys are staying with me. All right, so we'll definitely look at that. And then we've got Saturn going direct, meaning that it's kind of felt like summer school as Saturn has been retrograde. Haven't really felt the ramifications, the lessons, so to speak. We haven't really been feeling the slave driver, so to speak, for working. But I think once Saturn switches directions, we are going to start feeling some more pressure. We're going to feel like there's a timing thing that we need to work with. So there may be some decisions made that lead up to this that when Saturn goes direct will help to facilitate the manifestation of it or the creation of it. So that's very nice. All right, so we've covered those 4 things. Let's see what the next week holds for us. So as Venus is waning from the nodes with the square to the nodes, from the 20th to the 23rd, Venus will sextile Saturn. So remember, Saturn has now stationed direct. So just a few weeks ago, we had Venus sextiling the retrograde Saturn. That was a different energy. So now these two work really, really nicely together. So if you have any major natal aspect between Saturn and Venus, it's usually pretty good, and you're going to feel these aspects. This is an opportunity for you to lean into the responsibility, the creation, the timing. Saturn, it's about teaching values too. It's about the timing of when to do certain things. So I think there's a timing component that's coming through, is what I'm trying to say. So we're going to get the decision. We're going to make it through the nodal energy. We're going to use our creative and destructive chaos powers. Saturn's going to go direct, and then we're going to begin to form it. And we'll have a clear vision of how that's going to go. Now, Venus is going to square Black Moon Lilith during this transit, and it's a little bit longer because squares have a larger orb than a sextile might. So next week we see Venus sextiling Black Moon Lilith, and the week after she squares Black Moon Lilith. So it may be good to sort of lean into your own creative darkness a little bit there, either mentally or, with a partner or someone that can, give you honest feedback. And then you'll know how to deal with any challenges that come from it as we wrap up the end of November. The other thing that might be happening for us as well, because Chiron is going to square with Venus. Venus is going to square under retrograde Chiron, and then the sun's going to go into Scorpio. So while we feel really good around that full moon, there's going to be things that are happening the week after that may not feel so good or so comfortable. Venus and Chiron is about healing. It's about wounding too. It can be wounding in the relationship. So this is right around holiday time for a lot of us. Okay. So we want to be really careful. We want to use these opportunities to heal, to integrate, to take a higher perspective, and to learn from them so that we can become more responsible and better creators. And the sun entering into the stars of Scorpio is all about the release. It's about letting go, just like Venus moving through that space. Get rid of everything. You don't need it. If you're hanging on to it, it might cause you some suffering or pain. So there may be some letting go of energies here. Like I said, it just depends on where Venus is for you. If you already have a Venus Chiron aspect in your chart, these are things that I tease out for you when I do these readings. They are really, really helpful. I have seen women go through some amazing transformations. I've even had a few men do a Venus forecast with me, and it's not exclusive. It's just, this tends to draw the feminine energy a little bit more. So get ready for that weekend right before Thanksgiving. Okay. So as we enter that week, we then have Venus in a quincunx to retrograde Jupiter. Okay. So this is just watching excess. But Mercury is going to station retrograde during that transit. The Venus square black moon Lilith is going to end. Okay, so you're going to be smack dab in the middle of Venus square Chiron, and the black moon Lilith energy is going to end. Venus is going to go retrograde, and then you're going to have this challenging energy with the expansive openness of Jupiter. A lot of times when we're around family, when we're around people that we love but we're not necessarily friends with, we feel a little bit constricted. We don't feel like we've got the ability to expand into the spaces that we really, really need to. So I think for this space, compassion. We have to practice compassion during this last week of November, especially as Mercury stations retrograde, because you guys, thoughts become things when Mercury is retrograde. I'm not kidding you. So if you're having evil, horrible thoughts about people that you love but are maybe not friends with that are your family, you could manifest things that you don't want to manifest. You could make it harder on yourself. So try to be in that other person's shoes as much as you can this last week of November. I think it will serve the creative energy well. There's no rush here, okay? This baby Phoenix Sagittarius energy for Venus, it's flowing along the way it should. Okay, so let's see what that week looks like. There we go. All right, so I've talked about Venus with Jupiter. Watch excess. Make sure you see things from the other person's side with compassion and understanding. Watch your thoughts. Thoughts become things, because you have a really, really nice opportunity towards the end of the week with Venus trining on retrograde Uranus. This is fun energy. This is like the ultimate pattern break, and Venus and Uranus really love each other when they're in a trine energy like this, because Venus will adore the individual energy that's coming from Uranus. Uranus is in Taurus, which is her sign. She's in Sagittarius, which is Jupiter's sign. It's fiery. They're flowing together. So Venus tends to admire the individual uniqueness of Uranus, and being in Sagittarius is so very much drawn to that. And then Uranus appreciates the creative inspiration that Venus can give so that he can, see what his individual path is. So this is a really, really nice energy, this Venus trining Uranus, Mercury retrograde. This is a great time to just sort of let go of your programming too. If someone comes at you and says, hey, you want to try this? Maybe you should. Kind of check yourself and say, why would I say no? This might be okay. Why am I afraid of this? Maybe I should, especially if you get a little physical hit to it. Like if you feel it in your chest or your gut, or you're a little bit aroused by the idea, go for it. It might be fun. It might actually serve you really, really well. And Uranus is there to help you with that. So then we end the month with 2 more transits. Let me just make sure I'm still sharing. Was I not sharing? Oh my gosh. I think I wasn't sharing. That's okay. Let me see. Let me get back in here. Oh, I wasn't. That's okay. I'll show it to you now. This is what I was talking about right here. So I don't know where I left off, but we were over here at the second week as Sun moves into Scorpio. Remember the transformation. There's going to be a little bit of tension here. And then Mercury's going to go retrograde, and we're at a little bit of an odds with Jupiter. So I think if we move through that space right here, right before Thanksgiving with compassion and grace, then we have an opportunity to really open up and have a huge pattern break here towards the end of the month. So then we're going to look at Venus conjunct Pluto. This is going to last until the 12th of December. This is powerful creation. This is almost like another sort of rebirth and death process, but this is really knowing the truth of your power as a creator. And I think that the door opening with the Uranus trine will allow for this energy to really expand, where you can really be amazed at how powerful you are. It's also the beginning of another lunar cycle with the Scorpio new moon. And so I think the theme of this coming December new moon is going to be stepping into that power, stepping into that creative power. Venus is going to sextile Neptune retrograde at the end of this as well. And remember, Pluto and Neptune are in their eternal sextile right now, which is surrendering to the transformation. So there is a powerful transformational energy that's coming through here right as Mercury's retrograde. And then if we look to the last few days here, we've got asteroid Lilith also moving into Sagittarius, that new moon, and then the last couple of transits. So right at the end here, Mars is going to station retrograde. This might be a little bit painful for those of us that are like to take action and like things to happen pretty quickly. This is about a 14-week retrograde period for Mars. So we're going to have a tremendous transformation, but we're also going to be in a very steady state. Okay, so don't expect anything really to blow up around your creative energies. I would say there'll be a transformation, but the manifestation of that may come after the first of the year. Cool. All right, there was one other thing that I wanted to share with you guys, but I'm drawing a blank right now. I'll remember it as soon as I stop streaming, I'm sure. Cool. Celtic Thistle's birthday is today. Yay! Happy solar return. Actually, your solar return might be a day or two later than the celebrated birthday. That's okay. So, oh yeah, duh. I was talking about Mars. I wanted to remind you all about the Mars class that's coming up on Tuesday. So most of the class is already uploaded. You guys should have 2 hours of video modules of Mars through the houses and the signs. On Tuesday, we're going to take Mars through its aspects to the planets. And those of you that are enrolled in the Mars Awaken the Sleeping Warrior class, I will email you this weekend for your chart information so that we can talk about everybody's chart during the live portion of the class. Okay, so that'll be Tuesday, November 12th at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're in Standard Time now, guys. So for me, that is negative universal time. All right. So for Central Standard Time, I am negative UTC. If you know your UTC, then you can add and subtract from my UTC and know what time that is for you. I also have a presentation on that, a couple videos back on how to do that. All right. So I hope you guys will join me for that class. That's going to be amazing. I'll have a Jeep chat for you tomorrow. Thank you so much for posting that, Lori. There it is. The Awaken the Sleeping Warrior. So not only do you get all of this information about Mars from a constellational perspective, but you guys will also get the Mars meditation. It's a guided meditation by me with music and frequencies created by me. It is fire. And I also put a fire breath exercise in as a bonus module in that course. So you get like, I don't know, like 45 minutes of meditation, and you get 2 hours of recorded modules, and you get 2 hours of live working with me next Tuesday, and then you get a resource document. So all of that, and you can pay monthly if you want to. So please check out that class and join us. These live rollouts really are where it's at, and one of the best ways, I think, to learn astrology. So, all right, you guys. Does anybody have any questions? Anybody want to think about anything? I think I'm going to wrap it up. You guys aren't too chatty on this one. I must have mesmerized you with the Venus energy. That tends to be the case. I used to actually just record these and just sit in my space. You know, like I would smudge the space, and then I would do the bowl, and then I would sit here and just do. You can go back and see the recorded previous Venus videos. But I've been doing them live recently just to see how you guys are resonating with it. It really is one of the most powerful planets you can work with in the zodiac. It's almost like you've got your sun energy, and that's cool, and you've got your moon energy, but like Venus sort of pulls it all together, I think. All right, guys. Well, I hope you all have a wonderful evening and weekend. I'll see most of you Tuesday. I may do a live Monday. I may not. Just depends on when I get back into town, because I'm going back to Houston this weekend. So I might stay till Monday. I'm not sure. All right. Okay, guys. I'll see you next time. Namaste, you guys. Bye.